It's great love. It's great love. It's great love proclaiming everyone coming to entreat you. I'm talking to all humanity around. Even if you don't believe. Let's talk about the great love of all mankind. If you can't talk about his love.
Shalom, I am Rabbi Shaul Praver. You're watching Rabbi Rock. You know, there were nearly 1,000 victims, 1,000 people that drowned to death from the Katrina hurricane. And many of them, most of them, drowned because they were very poor and they didn't have cars to exit the area, to evacuate the area. Our technology is very advanced. It would seem to me that in a time when we're able to predict when, where, and how a hurricane is going to hit a particular area in our country, it would seem to me that we ought to be able to send a fleet of buses into the areas where the people are stranded without cars. There seems to be some kind of an imbalance in that sense. There was a whole lot of yellow school buses. I'm sure many of you have seen pictures of those school buses that were not deployed by the local authorities, the local government, or the federal government as well. And I hear a lot of talk about who is to blame for this. But the truth is that we all have a little bit of responsibility, because each and every state could have, I mean, it's within our ability to send a delegation from the various states, from Connecticut, Massachusetts, New York, all the different states, and drive those buses and rescue the people and carry them to safety. And the reason why I mention this is because there was a 20-year-old young man by the name of Jabber Gibson who saw the situation. He saw the handwriting on the wall. He did not have any special training, nor did he have a commercial license for operating one of those yellow school buses. He didn't even have a key, but he managed to, I don't know how he did it, you know, put the wires together, get the bus to go, and he took control of one of those buses and he saved 70 people. Now 700 and some odd people, I don't know the exact number, but let's say over 700 people died. Well, you don't have to do the math to know that it only took maybe a few more people like Jabber Gibson to save all of the people that died or drowned to death in the hurricane. We were too bogged down in the laws, who was allowed to drive the bus, who wasn't allowed to drive the bus, the call for law and order and all that, and we forgot the big law, the law of life. The Torah is a law to live by. That is the great law that surpasses and that transcends all other laws, is the law of life. Live. Now, there's great compassion coming from every corner of this country to rebuild the area, Mississippi, Alabama, all of these different places that were affected. And that's fabulous, and I'm proud to be an American, a part of a great country like that, where we come to the aid, we hear the cry of our brethren, and we help them. But it also reminds me of a Talmudic story that goes like this. There was a farmer, and he was digging a ditch in the ground. He wanted to put an irrigation pipe into the ground. And then he got diverted into other projects, and he didn't really have the time to finish the project properly, so he just kind of covered it up with some brush and put some dirt on it and made it look good and blended it with the rest of the road. Along comes an unsuspecting traveler, and goes right over the area, falls in the ditch, gets severely injured. The farmer hears the cries of the man, and he goes and he rescues him. He pulls him out of the ditch. He takes him to his house. He bandages his wounds. He hires a doctor to set his bones, and he tends to the man. He nurses the man for months after months. And then the day that the gentleman is well enough to leave, he's gushing to the farmer. He says, "Thank you so much. Thank you. You saved my life. You healed me. You took care of me. You did all these great things." And the farmer says, "Don't thank me, man. I dug the hole." So the point is that we're real good on the relief. We're real good on the healing part of the process, but not so good before the storm. We're not so good in plugging up the hole, rescuing the people before the storm actually hits. And we can do it. Jabber Gibson, the 20-year-old, with no special skill other than the goodness in his heart, showed us that we could have. Now I'll tell you a little joke. The joke goes like this. There's a man that's shipwrecked. He's floating in the middle of the water, and he says, "Oh, God's going to help me. God's going to help me." So, a little raft comes along, and he looks at the raft and he says, He says, "God in all of his glory, he's going to help me." Then a boat comes along, and the man looks at the boat and he says, No, God in his glory, he himself is going to help me." Then a helicopter comes along, and the guy in the helicopter is saying, "Get in, climb on the ladder, get out of there." And the man says, No, God in his glory is going to help me." The man drowns, goes to heaven, and he says, "God, I had such faith in you. Why didn't you help me?" The Almighty says to him, "My son, I sent you a raft. I sent you a boat. I sent you a helicopter. What do you want from me?" My friends, there are many messengers of the Almighty. Sometimes it comes in the form of a raft, sometimes a boat, and sometimes a lonely little yellow school bus going down the road, being driven by a young 20-year-old man shouting at the top of his lungs, get in, before the storm comes." Jabber Gibson was a messenger of the Almighty. We all could have been better messengers. Let's not take comfort in who to blame. We all could have done what Jabber Gibson did. For all those that lost their lives in the Katrina tragedy, may their lives be bound up in the eternal bonds of life. May they know peace. Let us say, Amen. There's another aspect, another lesson we can learn from Katrina. I'm sure we all remember the quick jump in oil prices, gasoline prices, from about $2.50 to way over $3.30 overnight. Does it make sense for all of our, or so much of our refinery process to be situated in one vulnerable place that we know is vulnerable? Does that make sense? Just like John Kennedy imbued the country with a passion for the space program, I think we need to have a great individual that will imbue this country, the United States, with a passion for a comprehensive vision for diversified, renewable energy. The oil age is over. It's a very foolish form of energy. It takes millions of years to cultivate fossils, and we burn them up in a second. Whereas the sun is shining, the wind is blowing. The answer, my friend, is blowing in the wind. The answer is blowing in the wind. Hey, maybe that's what Bob Dylan meant by that. There's so much energy in the wind, folks. Go to South Dakota. There's enough wind there to fuel all the lower 48 countries. I learned that from my good friend, Rabbi Andrea Cohen Kiener, who's here with us I welcome you.
We're going to sing today, huh? That's good. Nice to see you again.
The answer is blowing in the wind, isn't it?
Indeed it is. I love your idea of setting a vision and a goal out there for clean, renewable, distributed energy. I think that's a good idea for a lot of reasons.
Right, right.